Security forces expected that the number of people who carried out the crime was more than one person, due to the presence of blood traces over a distance of approximately 15 meters from the location of the body. In addition to blood traces on a stone found far from the body, bearing hair traces, indicating that the victim was struck with this stone, there were also footprints pointing to the location where the body was found, which clarified that the victim was killed and then moved to the site where the body was discovered. Given the size of the body, security forces expected that moving it would be difficult for one person alone. The place was very quiet because it was located in an upscale residential area full of villas and residential buildings, meaning that any sound could be easily heard. However, reports indicated that the doormen and guards discovered the body after Fajr prayer, meaning no sound was heard throughout the night. In addition, the land where the body was found was under construction, adjacent to a villa inhabited by a family, and none of them heard any sound. After completing the examination of the crime scene, the body was transferred to forensic medicine to determine the cause and time of death. At the same time, investigations were conducted with the doormen and guards from the area who reported the incident. And here things began to get complicated. The first witness, Muhammad, said that he saw the body at 3 o'clock at night and tried to notify security forces, but didn't know how until he met another person, and they immediately reported to security. When the other person, Ali, was asked, he said he saw the body at 4:30 in the morning. As for the third, Khalid, he said he heard about the existence of a body in the land under construction, but did not see anything himself. The fourth, Ahmed, and the fifth, Mahmoud, said something completely new, that the doorman Abdel Rahman was the one who informed them. When security forces asked about Abdel Rahman, they discovered that he was not present at the place and was not standing with them. A security team was sent to the villa where Abdel Rahman worked, and they found that Abdel Rahman had traveled at dawn, and no one knew anything about him. The most important information was that Abdel Rahman had been working in this place for 15 years, so the doormen and guards did not know much about him. Here, security forces faced questions. Did he see the body at 3 o'clock at night or after dawn? Was Abdel Rahman the one who said that? And where is Abdel Rahman now? Security forces obtained information from the owners of the villa where Abdel Rahman worked, and learned that he was from Fayum Governorate, and that he had traveled permanently, as the room where he lived with his family was completely empty. The man had gathered all his belongings and left, making it clear that Abdel Rahman might be involved in the crime or directly related to it. At the same time, a team from the criminal investigation was trying to identify the owner of the body. Naturally, they carried a photo from the pictures taken by the criminal photographer of the young man's face, and began showing it to people in the area where the body was found. But no one recognized him, neither from the residents nor the doormen. It was clear from the young man's clothes that he worked in a manual profession or craft. At that time, in the year 2004, the process of matching fingerprints and faces took a long time, making on-the-ground criminal investigation difficult. It was hard to solve the case of a completely unidentified body, and all the information received up to that moment was highly contradictory, and the strangest details had not yet come. Anyway, after search and investigations, security forces reached Abdel Rahman's address in Fayum, and the security force moved to arrest him. He was interrogated, and at the same moment Abdel Rahman provided completely different information from what was said before. Abdel Rahman said that at 11 o'clock at night he saw two young men with a girl, and their voices were very loud, arguing in the land under construction next to the villa he was guarding. When he approached them, he discovered they were beating a young man sitting on the ground. When the two young men saw Abdel Rahman, one of them approached him and told him not to worry, that they were just talking to him. But Abdel Rahman noticed blood on one of their hands, felt afraid, and left, telling himself at the time that he had only worked there for 15 years. and did not want to get himself into trouble with anyone. After 10 minutes, when the sound disappeared completely, Abdelrahman decided to go back to the land to see where the group went, and he noticed a young man lying on the ground next to the fence. It was very dark, and when he approached him, he found him dead. So he ran quickly to the doormen and guards and informed them of what he saw. Then he quickly returned to the villa where he worked, gathered his belongings, told his wife and children that they would travel again to Fayum, and decided to leave the place permanently, because he was afraid of being accused in this case. Abdelrahman finished his statement, and here security forces discovered a major contradiction in the statements. Abdelrahman saw the body around 11:30 at night, while the rest of the doormen said they saw it at 3 o'clock at night, while one said after dawn, and none of them mentioned that Abdelrahman informed them, except one doorman only. Here security forces faced two possibilities. Either Abdelrahman was the one who committed the crime, or the two young men whom Abdelrahman saw were actually doormen he knew, and they committed the crime, and they were all afraid to confess, especially since Abdelrahman said he had never seen the two young men before, nor the girl with them. Meanwhile, 4 days had passed since the report, and all information revolved around Abdelrahman and the doormen, who were summoned again for investigation. At this time, a group of security forces was interrogating residents of neighboring areas, shops, and workers there, and they all confirmed that they did not know the owner of the photo in the possession of security forces, to the extent that security forces went to public transport stations, and no one recognized the owner of the photo. Investigations with the doormen and guards began again, and they all confessed that Abdelrahman was indeed the one who informed them of the body's existence, and that they had known about the body since 11:30 at night, but they were all afraid of one of them being accused in the case, especially after seeing Abdelrahman gathering his belongings and leaving. So they sat thinking from 11:30 at night until Fajr prayer about what to do, and decided to report to security that they found the body after Fajr prayer, and they all agreed on this statement. But when security forces began taking their statements, one got confused and said a different time. Another said it was after dawn, and another forgot completely and said Abdelrahman informed them. After finishing the investigations with them, security forces discovered from precise investigations that they indeed had no relation to the case, and that the contradiction in statements was due to fear only. But the problem they caused was that security forces spent more than a week investigating in the wrong direction. It is known that the more accurate and correct the information, the faster security forces can solve cases. Anyway, security forces obtained completely new information, that two young men with a girl were the ones who committed the crime. The most important information was that the young man whose body was found was not from Nasr City residents, because throughout the week no one recognized him. So security forces began expanding the search circle. Strangely, there were no missing person reports matching this young man's description in the past period. Security forces went to the public transport stop in Saida Zainab area, a large stop gathering many means of transport heading to various places, including those going to or from Nasr City. Perhaps one of the drivers or passengers had seen the victim. Security forces began showing the victim's photo to a large number of drivers and passengers, but over 2 days no one recognized him. At the beginning of the 3rd day, one of the passengers recognized him and told security forces that this young man was most likely Yusuf, commonly known as Yasser, from Motaria area, which is very far from Nasr City. Security forces moved to Motaria, managed to identify Yusuf's residence, and discovered he was missing and worked as a laborer in areas near his home. His father and mother were summoned, and they immediately recognized him upon seeing the photo. Finally, the owner of the body was identified. Yusuf or Yasser, 26 years old, from Motaria residence. Due to the nature of his work, he was sometimes away from home for several days, which is why his family did not file a missing person report at that time. Mobile phones were not common, so they could not contact him or check on him. Yasser was known as a troublesome person with problems, and many people in his area said that about him. But the question is, what brought him to Nasr City, and who did this to him? The forensic report stated that Yusuf was subjected to a strong blow with a stone on the back of his head, and the stone caused a large wound that made him lose consciousness, after which he was stabbed 3 times, either with a small knife or a switchblade. The report confirmed that the killing occurred in the same place, meaning he was not killed elsewhere and then moved to the land where the body was found. Therefore, it is likely that the 2 young men and the girl mentioned by the doorman Abdelrahman were the ones who committed the crime. After investigations about Yasser, security forces found that he was in a relationship with a girl named Fatima, and there were many disputes and threats between them. Therefore, investigations were conducted about Fatima to complete the rest of the information. Investigations confirmed that there were witnesses who saw Yasser 2 weeks earlier with Fatima, her brother Omar, and her sister's fiancé Ziad. Here the picture began to become clear. The doorman Abdelrahman said he saw a girl with 2 young men, and it seems the girl is Fatima, and the 2 young men are Omar and Ziad. Through investigations, security forces discovered that Omar and Ziad also worked as laborers, but their workplace was in Nasr City, and so the general picture was completed. A security ambush was prepared for them all, and they were arrested. Upon searching Fatima's and her brother Omar's home, Yasser's wallet containing his official papers was found, and thus the puzzle was solved. But the question remains, why did they commit the crime? After their arrest, they immediately confessed that they were the ones who committed the crime. When they began confessing, we understood the reason for their acts. Yasser had met Fatima, who lived in the same area, about a year ago. During this year, Yasser promised her marriage, but unfortunately, he was deceiving her and planning other things. There were phone calls between them containing some immoral talk, and Yasser was recording these calls on cassette tapes. When Fatima asked to end the relationship because it became clear he would not marry her, nor take any serious step, Yasser began threatening her with the recordings he had, and demanded £200 for each call or tape containing the recordings. Otherwise he would distribute these recordings to people and expose her. Fatima decided to tell her brother Omar, and by chance, on the same day, her sister's fiancé Ziad was present and heard everything. Then they decided to lure Yasser to bring the recordings to take the money, but they had already decided to kill Yasser on the same day. They made Fatima agree with him to meet all 3 of them to give him the money and take the recordings from him, while promising her brother not to threaten her with any more calls. Yasser arrived and met Omar, Ziad, and Fatima, and they went up to Nasr City, and Ziad knew the specific place where they would kill Yasser. Omar had planned all the details and how to make the body unidentified. When they arrived, Fatima pretended to have stomach pain and entered the land under construction, followed by Yasser and Omar. At this moment, Ziad took a stone and hit Yasser directly on the head. Then Omar took out the switchblade he had and stabbed him 3 times. Fatima took the cassette tapes and the wallet from them, and they fled after moving Yasser's body a distance away next to the land's fence. At that moment, the doorman Abdelrahman appeared to them, but Ziad managed to convince him that they were just talking and nothing more. After the trials and presentation of all evidence, they were all sentenced to death. It is true that Yasser may have deserved punishment, but not in this way. It is true that his actions were not those of a man, but there is a law that governs us among ourselves. Her brother and her sister's fiancé chose the wrong path. As long as the girl confessed her mistake and involved her family in the matter, the action should have been rational. Anger may lead to more than that, but only if the action is immediate. But to plan and orchestrate a murder in this way, this is not just anger, but reflects a clear way of thinking. The truth is that I cannot sympathize with Yasser, but what I want to say is, Do not get involved with a person who promises you something while you know, and are certain inside, that he is not a man, because his actions will always be on the same pattern, because he is not a man. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the video, and leave a comment mentioning God. Thank you for following.